PSG 2021 to 2023, the most expensive failure in football history. In the summer of 2021, Paris Saint-Germain executed what many called the greatest transfer window in football history. Lionel Messi arrived on a free transfer, the greatest player of all time, available for nothing after Barcelona's financial collapse. Sergio Ramos followed, four-time Champions League winner, the most decorated defender of his generation. Gianluigi Donnarumma came next, the Euro 2020 player of the tournament, just 22 years old. Jorginho Wijnaldum, Champions League and Premier League winner, hijacked from Barcelona at the last minute. And Achraf Hakimi, 60 million euros from Inter Milan, already considered the world's best right-back. 5 signings, 9 Champions League titles between them. 4 arrived for free. They joined Neymar and Kylian Mbappe to form what looked like football's ultimate cheat code. PSG's wage bill for 2021-22 reached 728 million euros, the highest in football history, smashing Barcelona's previous record by nearly 200 million euros. On paper, they had already won the Champions League. Reality disagreed. The cracks appeared immediately. During a Ligue 1 match against Montpellier in August 2022, Mbappe missed a penalty, then demanded to take the second one. Neymar refused. Reports emerged that Sergio Ramos had to intervene in the dressing room to separate the feuding pair. The row continued on social media, with Neymar liking posts accusing Mbappe of acting like the owner of PSG. The tactical dysfunction ran deeper. None of the front three pressed consistently. PSG defended with 8 players and attacked with 4, the opposite of modern tactical philosophy. Individual brilliance papered over structural flaws in Ligue 1. Europe exposed everything. Despite assembling history's most expensive squad, PSG crashed out in the Champions League round of 16, both seasons the trio played together. Real Madrid eliminated them in 2022, Karim Benzema scoring a 17-minute hat-trick after PSG led 2-0 on aggregate, the second and third goals separated by just 106 seconds. The world's most expensive attack couldn't outscore a single striker. Then came the exodus. Messi to Miami, Neymar to Saudi Arabia, Mbappe to Madrid. Here's the twist that proves everything. In May 2025, PSG finally won the Champions League, their first ever, demolishing Inter Milan 5-0 in the final. Without a single member of their 728 million euro Superteam. President Al-Khelaïfi acknowledged the transformation. The stars play for the team now, not the team playing for the stars. The greatest transfer window in history produced 0 Champions League finals. The team built on structure and collective sacrifice conquered Europe. Manchester United, post-Ferguson, 0 league titles. Since Sir Alex Ferguson retired in 2013, Manchester United have spent approximately £1.9 billion on transfers, more than any club in world football. The return on investment? 0 Premier League titles, an FA Cup, a League Cup, a Europa League. Leicester City won the league during this period, spending a fraction of that amount. The pattern became grimly predictable. Ángel Di Maria arrived for £59.7 million, a world-class talent who wanted out within months. Radamel Falcao came on loan, scoring just 4 goals in 29 appearances. Bastian Schweinsteiger arrived past his prime. The transfer strategy wasn't just about who they signed, it was who they missed. United reportedly tried for Toni Kroos in 2014, but he chose Real Madrid. They pursued Cesc Fabregas the same summer. He joined Chelsea. Both won multiple titles elsewhere. United's recruitment wasn't merely flawed execution, it was failed vision at every level. Then came the crown jewel of mismanagement. In 2016, United re-signed Paul Pogba, for a then world record £89 million, 4 years after letting him leave for £750,000. He showed glimpses of brilliance but never sustained form. He returned to Juventus on a free transfer in 2022. United paid £89 million to borrow a player for 6 years. The wage structure became equally damning. Alexis Sanchez reportedly earned £500,000 weekly and scored 5 goals in 45 appearances. Players arrived without clear roles. Average performers earned superstar money. Under executive vice chairman Ed Woodward, United became more brand than actual football club. Signings were commercial decisions first, tactical fits second. Managers rotated: Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjaer, Rangnick, Ten Hag, each inheriting squads shaped by incompatible philosophies. United's failure isn't one spectacular collapse, it's a decade-long erosion of strategic coherence. A club that spent enough to build multiple super teams couldn't construct even one functional system.
Chelsea's billion-pound experiment. When Todd Boehly and Clearlake Capital purchased Chelsea in May 2022, they promised data-driven recruitment. What followed was the most chaotic spending spree in football history before something unexpected happened. Chelsea have spent £1.4 billion under Boehly, signing 50 players in just over 3 years. UEFA confirmed their squad became the most expensive ever assembled, €1.656 billion in combined transfer costs. The financial strategy exploits amortization mechanics through ultra-long contracts. Enzo Fernandez signed for 8.5 years, Mudryk for 8, Caicedo for 8 with an option for a 9th. By spreading fees across extended periods, Chelsea technically comply with financial fair play while spending at unprecedented levels. The first 2 years were carnage. Tuchel was sacked in September 2022, Graham Potter dismissed in April 2023, Frank Lampard installed as interim. Chelsea finished 12th. Pochettino became the 4th manager, then departed after 1 season, making his successor the 5th head coach in 3 years. The portfolio approach produced spectacular failures. Mudryk cost an initial €70 million, potentially rising to €100 million. He managed 10 goals in 58 appearances before being provisionally suspended for doping in December 2024. Then came the turnaround. Cole Palmer, signed for £40 million, emerged as generational talent. He became the 13th player in Premier League history to score 20-plus goals and provide 10-plus assists in the same season. Under Enzo Maresca, Chelsea secured 4th place and Champions League qualification. Chelsea defeated Real Betis 4-1 in the Conference League final to become the first club to win all 5 major European trophies. They then beat Paris Saint-Germain 3-0 in the Club World Cup final. The experiment finally produced returns, but only after €1.6 billion, 5 managers, and 3 years of chaos. Whether this marks the beginning of a dynasty or simply an expensive pause before the next implosion remains unclear. The trophies suggest vindication. The journey there suggests the model survives on margins no other club could afford to test. Real Madrid, 2003 to 2006, when star power imploded. Real Madrid invented the Superteam blueprint. Luis Figo, Zinedine Zidane, Ronaldo Nazario, David Beckham, Roberto Carlos, Raúl. The names read like a Hall of Fame exhibition. When they added Michael Owen and Julio Baptista, the squad looked unstoppable. Instead, they became definitive proof that talent accumulation doesn't guarantee trophies. From 2004 to 2006, Real Madrid went 3 consecutive seasons without winning a single trophy. their first such drought in half a century. They crashed out of the Champions League quarter-finals in 2004, then suffered back-to-back round of 16 eliminations. Against Juventus in 2005, they managed just one goal across both legs before exiting. Meanwhile, Barcelona won consecutive La Liga titles and the Champions League. President Florentino Perez's strategy collapsed under its own contradictions. Commercial value consistently outweighed tactical logic. When Claude Makelele, widely considered one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, requested a modest raise, the club refused and sold him to Chelsea. Perez told France Football, "Younger players will arrive who will cause Makelele to be forgotten." Chelsea won 2 Premier League titles in Makelele's first 2 seasons. Madrid won nothing. 5 coaches in 3 years, each attempting to fit global icons into coherent systems. The 2005 to 2006 season included a humiliating 6-1 first-leg Copa del Rey defeat to Real Zaragoza. Perez resigned in February 2006. Real Madrid generated enormous revenue. Brand value soared globally. But Galacticos 2.0 remains football's most famous lesson in portfolio imbalance. Too many stars, too little structure, too much focus on commercial value over tactical, sustainable fit.
AC Milan, 2007 to 2018. The exception that proved the rule. In May 2007, AC Milan stood atop European football. They defeated Liverpool in the Champions League final, avenging Istanbul's trauma with a squad that included Kaká, Pirlo, Maldini, Seedorf, Gattuso, Nesta, and Inzaghi. It was the oldest squad ever to win the competition. What nobody realized, they'd just witnessed the end, not the beginning. That same season, Milan finished 4th in Serie A, 36 points behind Inter. It was a warning. The following year, they finished 5th and failed to qualify for the Champions League for the first time since 2002. In 2008, Ancelotti departed for Chelsea. In 2009, Kaká was sold for €65 million, and Maldini retired after 25 years. For 2 consecutive seasons under Leonardo, Milan finished 3rd. Respectable on paper, evidence of decline in reality. Then came 10 to 11. Berlusconi authorized emergency acquisitions. Ibrahimovic on loan. Robinho for €18 million. With Thiago Silva anchoring the defense, Milan won their 18th Scudetto. Observers called it a return to glory. It was actually a last gasp. Within 18 months, the asset liquidation began. Pirlo was released on a free transfer. Allegri deemed him surplus at 32. Juventus signed him immediately. Gianluigi Buffon's reaction captured the absurdity. When Andrea told me he was joining us, I thought, God exists. A player of his level, for free. The signing of the century. Pirlo won 4 consecutive Serie A titles. Milan won nothing. By summer 2012, facing €80 million annual losses, Berlusconi sold Ibrahimovic and Thiago Silva to PSG for a combined €65 million. Nesta, Gattuso, and Seedorf departed the same window. Milan finished 8th in 2014, 10th in 2015, their worst position in decades. The 2011 Scudetto wasn't evidence that Milan could still compete. It was the exception that proved the rule. The decline began in 2007. Everything afterward was borrowed time. Malaga CF, 2010 to 2013. The dream that vanished overnight. In June 2010,
Sheikh Abdullah Al Thani purchased Malaga CF for €36 million. The modest Spanish club had spent years fighting relegation. Within 2 seasons, they reached the Champions League quarter-finals. Within 5, they faced bankruptcy. It remains football's most dramatic boom and bust story. Al Thani's investment transformed Malaga overnight. Santi Cazorla arrived for €21 million. Young Isco joined for €6 million. Van Nistelrooy, Baptista, Joaquin, De Michelis. Suddenly, a relegation candidate had assembled a squad competing with Spain's elite. Under Manuel Pellegrini, Malaga finished 4th in La Liga 2011-12. The European campaign exceeded expectations. Malaga topped a group containing AC Milan and Zenit without losing. They eliminated Porto. Then came the quarter-final against Borussia Dortmund. Trailing 1-0 from the first leg, Malaga fought back at Signal Iduna Park. Goals from Joaquin and Elisu gave them a 2-1 lead, enough to advance. Then Marco Reus equalized in the 91st minute. Felipe Santana scored a controversial winner in the 93rd. Malaga's European dream died on a goal that would never stand today. Players collapsed on the pitch. The warning signs had already appeared. Player wages went unpaid. Transfer fees accumulated as debt. Al Thani's investment stopped. UEFA banned Malaga from European competition for 2013-14. Financial fair play catching the club in their first major enforcement. Cazorla sold to Arsenal, Isco to Real Madrid, Pellegrini to Manchester City. Stars were liquidated to pay debts. By 2018, Malaga was relegated. Al Thani now faces prosecution, accused of misappropriating €8.5 million for personal expenses. Malaga became football's starkest lesson. Fast money can build empires, but without sustainable foundation, they collapse just as quickly.
Inter Milan, 2010-2014. On May 22, 2010, Diego Milito's brace against Bayern Munich completed the unthinkable. Inter had won Serie A, the Coppa Italia, and the Champions League. It was the first treble in Italian football history. Jose Mourinho stood in the Santiago Bernabeu tunnel, crying as he embraced Marco Materazzi. 6 days later, he was Real Madrid's manager. What followed remains one of football's most catastrophic institutional failures. Massimo Moratti, who'd invested €1.5 billion since 1995 to reach this summit, now presided over its demolition. Rafael Benitez replaced Mourinho and won the Club World Cup in December, then was sacked 3 days before Christmas, with Inter languishing in 7th place. Leonardo arrived, steadied the ship to 2nd place, then departed after 1 season. The 2011-12 campaign required 3 managers. Gianpiero Gasperini lasted 5 games. Claudio Ranieri stabilized briefly before being dismissed. Andrea Stramaccioni, 36 years old, inherited the wreckage. The squad dispersal defied logic. Samuel Eto'o, who'd scored 53 goals in 2 seasons, was sold to Anzi Makachkala. In January 2013, Wesley Sneijder was sold to Galatasaray for €7.5 million, a fraction of his value. The 2012-13 season ended with Inter in 9th place, their worst finish since 1994. They'd failed to qualify for European competition entirely. In October 2013, Moratti surrendered. He sold 70% of the club to Indonesian businessman Erick Thohir for approximately €250 million, ending his family's 18-year ownership.
Inter wouldn't win Serie A again until 2021, 11 years after Materazzi's embrace in the Bernabeu tunnel. The treble that was supposed to launch a dynasty instead became the final line of an era no one knew was ending. Juventus and the Ronaldo era, breaking the dynasty. Juventus had won 7 consecutive Serie A titles when they signed Cristiano Ronaldo in 2018. The objective was singular: win the Champions League. They paid €115 million in transfer fees and committed to wages of €31 million annually, making Ronaldo's total cost around €60 million per year. The second highest earner, Gonzalo Higuain, made less than €15 million. Ronaldo earned 4 times more than anyone else. The wage hierarchy distortion had immediate consequences. Other players demanded raises. Paulo Dybala's contract negotiations stalled. Aaron Ramsey arrived on wages exceeding €7 million. The salary structure that built 9 consecutive titles began collapsing. Tactically, everything funneled through Ronaldo. Logical given his salary, disastrous given the structural imbalance. Managers rotated annually: Allegri, Sarri, Pirlo. None could build systems around a player approaching his late 30s while developing younger talent. The Champions League failures mounted. Quarter-final exit to Ajax in 2019. Round of 16 elimination to Lyon in 2020. Round of 16 elimination to Porto in 2021. The opponents made it worse. Ajax's teenage stars. Lyon, who finished 7th in League One that season. Porto, managed by a 42-year-old unknown. Juventus spent €275 million to lose to clubs with a fraction of their resources. When pandemic struck, the financial strain became catastrophic. Juventus missed revenue targets, recorded losses exceeding €190 million, and faced investigations into alleged financial irregularities. Ronaldo departed in 2021, but the damage was done. Points deductions followed. The entire board resigned amid scandal. What had been Italian football's most dominant dynasty entered genuine crisis. The risk management analysis is damning. Juventus bet everything on one aging asset with 0 resale value and lost.